Trucker Rod here in the S.E.E channel, and it's another Monday night, September 22nd. So, um, you know, when I was off on vacation a couple of weeks ago, I was, while I was working on vehicles and moving about, I was listening to a lot of economic channels and jazz like that, and a lot of these folks are really saying that there's an economic collapse coming, and gold is going up, silver's gone up. Gold's at all-time highs at 37. What is it at? 3,700, and silver today. That was today. Open markets and 44 on the silver. So silver stacking is what we're doing right now, but dollar cost averaging into it, and been working with a company called Monetary Metals on that. So because they lease out your metal that you buy as a way to offset your storage fee, they then lease it out to jewelers and all that. So anyhow, that's what we're doing. That's just one of many baskets of investments that I have going on. A lot of guys said, well, you can't eat your metal, but you know what? If you got a network, you can barter and trade with farmers. If you get in the network with farmers, whether it's vegetables or beef or chicken or pork. So we have already established that for 4 years now. So before we move on, I have put in the description RK Auto Detailing, and the last I looked, we were 42 subscribers. I'm trying to get over 50 so I can do some live streaming there. I want to try to do a once a month Friday Night Live from the garage, and just basically talk about things I've done, doing going forward with the business and jazz like that. So before we get started, the big thing on the thumbnail was, we are headed to an economic collapse, and it's going to be a hard recession. And there was a few things that were pointed out today. I want to say things that weren't really in the data, but things you can just notice in observation within everyday reality. So, but to go off from a quote, Michael Hopp, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. So hard times, I would definitely say, was your 1930s, Great Depression, 1940s, World War II, and coming out of that. Then the strong men created good times from the 50s into the 70s and 80s. Good times create weak men. So millennials, Gen Zs, and weak men create hard times. And now we have weak men, men that don't know if they're women or a dog or a cat. And now we've got hard times. And so that's where we're at in that turning point of that quote. And I've been fortunate to kind of be right there where I would put myself is, strong men create good times. So I've had my fair share in my 20s of pissing my 20s away doing some dumb stuff, but going forward, been more responsible as the years went on with education and ramping up my knowledge. Trying to get this down a little more. There we go. It's on a stand here on the dash. So where were we at before I got onto the quote? But yes. So what I was going to announce in October actually finished and got done last Thursday. So as many of you have heard me say that, we have a second property. We'd go down there during the summer months, like end of April, 1st of May, all the way to October 1st. We'd go down, spend some time down there around the campfire. Very nice summer getaway place, small property, another lawn to mow, upkeep. It's a full second house. So, and just sitting in the middle of the street and talking with one of my neighbors, he basically pointed to one of his friends going by on a golf cart and just said he's looking to buy, a long-term place here. I just, for the giggles, the shits and giggles, said, hell, I'd sell you my place. Well, one thing led to another, and within a month, I handed everything over to him. He handed me a check, and I profited well off the place to offset some more debt and amp up our savings. So with that, and so this year alone, we have paid over $50,000 of debt off. And that's the one thing. I'd like to ramp up more investments and push further into other income streams. But all my income that I'm making, whether it's my side businesses or here in the truck, has been basically plugged into paying off debt. Once and I could just get a feel of like a breeze of fresh air when that went down and we moved out. So the 2 weekends ago, we took a trailer load of stuff back home. We liquidated and sold a lot of stuff there. And then I brought another trailer home of stuff. We put that away Saturday night, and then I headed off to work here in the truck. I was hurting and extremely tired yesterday. Just hustling. When you're having to undo another house and unscrew it from everything you own in it, you don't realize everything that you have in every nook and cranny in that place. And then we kind of whitewashed and cleaned it down and sanitized it. So the new owners, they moved in Saturday afternoon, evening. So that's one less responsibility off my back, one less debt, and 2 more debts to go. I'm financially free then. And those 2 debts left is only just over $40,000 of debt, so I'm not buried. But I want to be debt free as I venture forward, and then there's going to be bigger news at about this time next year. So we need another 12, 13 months of running time to move forward and I don't want to say move forward into the next phase. So there's a 3-step process. I got the first step done. What I can live stream the RK Auto Detailing side. I'll show you like my truck that my wife and I built, and of course the golf cart and all that jazz. So I would like to sell the truck, and just don't have a purpose for it. And I've got my future plans require me to have a totally different vehicle and what I'm going to achieve and try to get done. So that's stuff that will be revealed later on. Hey, Mr. Tommy, I appreciate you being here, and thanks for dropping in. And we're just going to talk a little economics. Hey, I did catch your short just before I went live here. I saw that short with the guy at Trucking Unfiltered. Yeah, he did a short reel on a guy driving a box truck, left his back door open, and a unsecured pack rolling around in the back. So I saw that he honked the horn and was trying to get his attention. So I don't know if he got him to pull over and secure that. But man, that's the one thing when I ran roll off and I ran flatbed and RGN, unsecured loads, man, I was strapping. It was funny when we were strapping the trailer, not this final weekend, but the weekend before, when you need to make a bulkhead to secure your load, doesn't slide forward. If you got like flat steel or pipes or something and you don't have a header on your trailer, or a bulkhead header on your trailer, or a headache rack on your truck. So I built one, but for the rear of the trailer, so stuff wasn't sliding around. So my wife goes, "You definitely got a lot of trucking in you." So she was watching me build a bulkhead with stuff we brought home, and secured it, so that way everything stayed right where it should be, because we had to come back in the rain 2 weekends ago, and it came home dry. It was well tarped and well secured. But yeah, so the thing of it is with this collapse, the dollar, the DXY, has been slowly going down for the last couple years, and gold and silver's ramping up. The Federal Reserve dropping rates last week doesn't mean shit for us plebs. It's only good for the overnight rate and the 1 or 2 month bonds or treasuries. So the only ones that are benefiting from that are the people that have corporations or the elites. They like zombie companies, where they have to roll their debt over into new debt, and they need to refinance it in a lower rate. That's all that's helping. It is not going to help any of us plebs out here. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. And then they say, well, that should bring the mortgage rates down. The markets, the free markets, dictate the 10, 20, and 30-year mortgage, especially the 10-year. So if the 10-year is at, maybe the 10-year bond is at 4.25, you always just for a benchmark, just double it, and that's usually your going rate on your 30-year loan, 30-year mortgage rate, interest rate. So give or take a point, but that's basically where you're normally at. I forgot to retain what the mortgage rates were as of this morning. They have been, they shot down, then they shot right back up. So what people need to understand is the free markets, corporations, all of us that have small businesses, we're the ones that dictate the long end of the mortgage or the interest rates, not the Federal Reserve. They and the banks only handle the overnight rates. So and I don't care if I pay 7-8% mortgage, because I know I can always refinance down later. My biggest concern is getting a great deal on a new house. My current house, I am in a 55 and over park, and if you know anything about that, it's basically it's got a lot of HOA fees. I want to get away from that. To do that, I want to finish getting this house fixed up. So having two houses was really tiresome for me and my energy to keep up and take care of. So I'm going to work on getting the house ready, get it fixed up, what things need to be fixed up, window siding, getting the finish off the decks, do the staining and the finish off, belt sanding and stuff like that. Some other things are getting done, probably some painting, and then get it on the market next year. So we got a price point of where we want to be, and more I want to say financing a house. So I don't need a big house, 1,000 to 1,200 square feet at the very utmost. With the wife and I, we don't need a lot of square footage. 4-bedroom, 1,800 square foot is too much now. And so we're going to do a health check at the end of October with our loan officer, and just have her go through and just see if there's anything that's being missed, anything she can recommend, that we need to tweak over the winter time. But in the meantime, I'm going to be in the office. Now I'm going to have a lot more free time. When I am home, I'm not going to be bouncing around, to where I can just concentrate on one place, get in the office, work on my businesses, and start getting things rocking and rolling. So hopefully by April, May next year, things will be spitting and sputtering along decently, to where then I can just work on them instead of trying to build them out, which I need to finish doing, is just work on doing all my stuff I have to, whether it's sales, whether it's swing trading, stocks, other stuff. The crypto market, it's risque, but a lot of guys are making bank if you know how to play it. So that's the kind of stuff I want to be getting into in the future. Now, the wife did get from T-Mobile, she got a wireless router we had down at the second home. And because I have an inverter and AC plugs, I am going to bring that in here, and I'm working on my laptop, probably going forward here in October. I still have some stuff down at that second property I got to do. Um, some repairs, a couple of repair things that got to be done. The contractor is going to be out for to finish that up for the new. And then I told him I'd help him winterize the place and just go through and the inner workings of it and all that jazz. So then I'll be back, and then October, the wife's got a surgery weekend. I've got to take a pause and take care of her on that. But outside of that, going to be rocking and rolling because I want to get my income streams really going over the winter time. So with the economic, with everything going on economically in the United States, right now is not the best time to be doing any big ticket items, buying a car. If you need a house, if you're positioned to say you got your down payment, you know what you can afford. So say, your job, your income, and the money you've saved will allow you to get in, say, a $300,000 house, then, hey, then shop, look for a house. But it is better to get shelter in place and own your place. Now, a lot of the gurus will say, from Robert Kiyosaki and other people that are in the real estate realm, they just buy a multiplex and rent out the other rooms, live in one section of it and rent the other rooms out, let it cash flow you. For us, and that's the thing I want to debate with those folks, is I can't do that with my wife, because our house right now was, the former owners had a disabled child. So they had positioned the house in an ADA for disability realm, and it worked out good for my wife with the wheelchair, her scooter, the walker, jazz like that. So she's got to have a shelter in place that is permanent. So when she has surgeries or bad days or weeks, she's got a place she can call home. And I can't have her, in an apartment. If something happened to me, I want her to be able to, with the life insurance, be able to pay the place off and have a home that will not leave her homeless, compared to renting or maybe having a real estate property to where you're renting out half of it and jazz like that. She doesn't have, I want to say, the capability or the energy to deal with property managers or renters and jazz like that. So I'm trying to make, going forward, I'm looking at, the 5, 10, and 30 year out, where is this going to position us, and what can I leave behind for my kids? So going forward, hey, I'm going to turn the truck on here, get stuffy in here. So I have set us up. She's got a whole life. I have a whole life. Both of them are building to a cash value. Make sure that's turned off. So it's a thing. Everyone's like Dave Ramsey. You know what? Here's my take on Dave Ramsey, especially during hard times that we're going through right now, economic hard times. Dave Ramsey is a good spending therapist, but he is he's just a shitty financial guru to take advice from. You can listen to him all you want, but I want to have at least 4 or 5 baskets of investments, and all he is real estate. And there's other things, but he won't take chances on it because, that's just what he is. And if you want to be one-dimensional in one way of doing stuff, that's fine and dandy. But I want to be in an economy that is so evolving with cryptocurrency, AI, all this technology and tech, You need to be able to invest and put your money in different baskets that are going to give you good returns. The days of before the internet and online shopping and all this type of trading, you had, your newspaper, you had a stockbroker. If you were well enough to know about trading, you worked with your stockbroker and you bought and you sold highs and lows. Otherwise, it was start a business, a physical business, or real estate, and you bought properties and you rented them out and you cash flowed them. So now with the last 25 years, now that the internet is blown up and there's more business conducted online, that you can set up stores, products, you can, even with AI now, you can, for us to set up branding, there's different stuff I've looked into for branding, detailing products for automobiles, and so it's all the way you spin it. So now as an entrepreneur, not only are you learning how to invest and trade stocks and understand the economy, but you also got to know marketing and sales, and where's going to be a good profit for you to come out ahead, cash flowing. What are your margins going to be on that? So it's interesting, and this is the stuff I want to fall back on and do every single day. And of course, our media portion is going to be YouTube, and X will probably be the other one. And if YouTube gets really stingy, I can always fall back on Rumble. I've not put too much emphasis in Facebook, trying to make money off them. Places Facebook, TikTok does all right, but they just got bought out by Oracle, which I believe is an AI company. I forget the name. Is it Jennison, or I don't think it's Sam Altman, but it's Jennison, or one of these guys, big gurus, just bought TikTok. So I don't know. I know the U.S. and China were talking about it, and then Oracle was on the sideline. This was like after Labor Day. But if you Google it, I didn't look it up, but I was listening to the podcast this morning. So yeah, Oracle's going to own that. You can make money on that, but right now, I don't want to have so many things going on while I'm trying to focus 60, 70 hours a week driving truck. Once I'm out of the truck in the future, then I can set myself up on multiple platforms. That way I can set up, like morning live streams with the markets, what the markets are doing, gold, silver, the bond market, interest rates. We can talk about headline stuff according to banking sectors and economics, but not politics. The other thing with the social media going forward, and these are avenue streams that I'm setting up little by little, is like Arcade Synthetics through my AMSOIL. So I'll set up a YouTube page and probably do other platforms to advertise that, to get pick up customers through that, to pick up my sales in AMSOIL. So I don't have to hold inventory. I just got to market myself. What was the other one? Oh, the detailing products. So we have gotten some things on rough draft and teaming up with Jack's Wax to be able to brand our own detailing products. But that's going to take some capital. So that one's down the pipe, but it's in the field of other things I want to do, because I really don't, when I step away from driving and I get, in position to run all these businesses, that's going to be my livelihood. Working from home on a computer in an office and just build out. And if we cash flow well and we can position ourselves better, then I told the wife, instead of starting on a small house, we can then turn around, move out of that house, rent it out, and move into something a little bit more upscale. But we would only do it as long as our businesses allow us through the cash flow. So I don't want to just go in right out of the gate, give it the biggest, nicest, meanest house on the block, and then you're house poor and over leveraged. And that's the one thing people have to be very disciplined um, with money. That's how wealthy people become wealthy and stay wealthy. They start out frugal, stay frugal, and they don't go out and indulge in luxury items. Luxury items like fancy cars, you know, big yachts. These guys start buying that stuff, but they leverage it into businesses. Their yachts, their helicopters, their planes, their private islands. They're all under an LLC if you look. And it's after they have built their business and their businesses are growing and flowing that they can leverage those and use them as tax write-offs. And that's the key thing is writing off as much as you can your yearly expenses out and about. That way you minimize your tax bill at the end of the year. The last thing you want to do, and that's what the tax codes are there for, to write everything off if you have an LLC as much as you can, so you don't give the government your hard-earned money. That's the whole purpose of it. They incentivize Americans to go out and start businesses. Why do you think foreigners come in, immigrants, they come into this country? Because the first thing they're going to do is most of them go in and be an entrepreneur and they start a business. They LLC, and let me tell you, they are hungry. They come in here, they're hungry. They don't want to live in a grass hut, in a mud hole. They want to live the life. So they're going to start a business, because starting a business will make you wealthier than if you just take a 9-to-5 job working for an employer, working to make them rich while you're just collecting a mediocre paycheck. So that's something to consider is you got to apply yourself. Now, there was a podcast this afternoon. I want to say it was George Gammon. And he said some of the indicators of a recession already in play. Even though if you go to the Federal Reserve, you go to Wall Street, you go to all these gurus out there, these economists and big venture capitalists, we're in a recession because they said so. We must be. But he was saying, people are saying, you're in a recession. You're at the beginning of a recession when the people in court for evictions is, like he was saying, a guy pointed out, in the early stages, it's usually the ugly women that are getting evicted because they're laid off, they don't have a job, they can't pay their rent, they're out of work. And he said the ugly women, they show up, they go, you really know you're deep in a recession when the pretty women show up, these gorgeous women, and they're getting evicted, and their eviction notices and all that. And because all their sugar daddies or all their friend zone people, they're laid off. She's laid off, they're laid off, so she's got no one to pay rent, pay her bills. So that's when you're in a recession. And the thing too is when wealthier people or people that are doing well, like either at middle class or above middle class, he said another thing an insurance adjuster had pointed out is when people lose their jobs and they have over leveraged on discretionary spending, which is they have spent money they shouldn't have ever leveraged on, and instead of letting the bank repo, say, their boat, this insurance adjuster said it's not letting the boats get repoed. They just all of a sudden during hard times and a downturn that's coming, you're going to see a lot more boat fires. And boat fires means, they're probably going to pay someone to mysteriously set that boat on fire, collect the insurance, get that bank note paid off, and they're good to go. So what's up with all this people on there? So yeah, he was making point of that. So or say a big luxury RV, A lot of people in the day, in the 70s and that shit, people have dug holes in their backyard and buried their cars. Cars missing, car got stolen, reported stolen, and then the next homeowner or two, they go to dig a pool in the backyard and freaking the backhoe hits the roof of a car, a lot of stuff like that. People at desperate times will do desperate measures to kind of save their ass monetarily. So whether they, set their boat on fire to collect the insurance during hard times, car comes up missing, catches on fire, what have you. Those are, some of the things. But what was crazy last week is, you guys know back in, what was it, 2021, when the free money was flowing out there, the stimulus checks and the big unemployment money was being paid out, and these people were making bank on unemployment. The Great Resignation is what they called it for like a year and a half or so. Just so many people were quitting their jobs. They were either sitting home collecting that free money, or they were just going to go across the street and make more money. Who was it? There was a company out there. They were hiring a ton of people, but it wasn't Amazon. But anyhow, Great Resignation. And then last year, late 23 and in 2024 was the silent quitting, and that was people were retaining their job, but they were taking a playbook out of the movie Office Space. Basically, they were doing the bare minimum. So they may do 15 minutes worth of work in an 8-hour day, and they would just look busy all day just so they wouldn't be bothered, but they would just do the very utmost little as they could throughout the day. And because they just didn't feel like that they were appreciated, or their pay and time there was worthwhile to them. So now that's the second one. Now the new trend is now it's called job hugging. So the job hugging is, you'll see these people, oh, I love my job, I'm so happy and blessed to have this job, and they're just going around, it's so great, and and it's like, wow, what a fallacy of people's mindsets of this, the way they look at things. When you're about ready to get kicked out the door and be homeless and going to the soup kitchen to get food, you start appreciating things when times get hard. And it definitely will help, it'll definitely rise people up to say, you know what, I better check myself. And that's what I've been saying right along is, this job here, I just went in after about 2 months not seeing the boss lady, and we had a driver quit. So I just said, look, if you want, just throw the extra work on me. If you want to max out my trailer, I don't mind. If I got to stay out, do a 34 out on the road, come up, get another trailer, go back out. I said, it is not bad. I would rather work than in right like tomorrow. If I was sitting home saying I am not working, I would not want to be stressing right now, because I'm still not in a position to be leaving this job or lose this job, because I still have a couple debts. I need to get those cleared out. So that's going to take a little bit, but we weren't expecting to get rid of the other property for another year or so, and or a couple years, and it just happened so quick. I'm like, all right, well, let's start making more things happen. So this kind of really ramps up, and it accelerates things quicker for us to get done going forward. And that's the key thing, is getting out of debt, put a little money aside. There's one guy, Smart Money Bro, was saying that a lot of people have 7 excuses this Sunday, but dude, I got no money, I'll do it later. No, today's the day, whether you got $1 or $20. But he said, look guys, $20 a month, if you put it aside in an investment with a 9% return, that's what did I calculate? About 1,060 a year. In 30 years time, if you sat on it and just put $20 a month, was it 20 a week? 20 a week or 20 a month? 20 a month. No, it was 20 a week. So if you put $20 a week, because he was saying 52 weeks. So $20 a week for 52 weeks is 1,060 a year. And a 9% return over 30 years, that's about $150,000. He goes, that's not much, but for $20 a week to stash that somewhere, so that's one basket of investments you put aside. Who in 30 years wouldn't mind, waking up saying, hey, all that money stashed aside, here's $150,000, So it's, today's the day you need to, really clamp down, spreadsheet out your money coming in, your money going out. You need to cut expenses, and you definitely need to put some money aside for a rainy day. And the big thing I'd start with is a safe haven to put your capital in besides the stock market. Stock market right now is going to get so volatile because it's in a bubble. So I would definitely start out like I'm doing dollar cost averaging with silver. I've got a whole life policy. I've got a Roth IRA. I've got a Roth 401k. Oh, what else was the other one? I shoot from the hip on these live streams too, so I don't usually come with notes. Very rare, but there is going to be another. Oh, the self-directed IRA, that'll be built later when I get. Now that's the other business. That was the other business. The real estate business we're going to have. So we're going to do tax liens and deeds. We're going to buy, tax liens and make the profit off the interest on it. So that's going to be another business we're going to be doing starting this winter. So AMSOIL, the tax liens and deeds, the trading, and of course building the YouTube and the media platforms. So when this gets monetized down the road, everything stacks on the other. So as each business is cash flowing, so look, on average, I'm going to be realistic. If these businesses are doing, if AMSOIL's doing $1,500 to $2,500 a month, then maybe I get $500, $800 a month from YouTube, at some point down the road. Liens and deeds, maybe I'm pulling in $1,000 a month from that. You can see all these things add up and they start stacking up, and then of course my stock brokerage and trading platform, and of course whatever online stores I may build and profit off from its sales. So there's a lot of things you can apply yourself by just owning a camera, a mic, a computer. You can do a lot. And it beats being out here, say, in your 60s, in your 70s, out here slaving away in a asphalt parking lot, being a truck driver, or grinding away being a blue-collar worker. If you're, you get to a point. The one downside of being a blue-collar worker in the skilled trades is you wear on your body quicker, physically, than you would as someone that works in an office. The office people in the last 25 years have became more obese, diabetic, high blood pressure, high cholesterol because their sedentary life in the office, plus the stress of meeting deadlines. These people are having meltdowns. They're just a basket case of a mess physically, and because they've got this other tier of stress in work than the blue collar guy, that's whether he's a building trades, a mechanic, welder, plumber, electrician. After a while, you're crawling around your body, your knees, your back, that stuff starts wearing out. So there's trade-offs for both, but right now trades are better to be in than because of AI coming on board. Trades are going to be the better way to go, whether electrician, plumber, building trades, welder, fabricator, working with your hands. So that's going to be a key component of going forward. And the thing of it is in a survival mode, if you're down on your luck, you can at least pick up some side hustle or work having multiple baskets of skilled trades, as like I do, than to always rely on paying a mechanic to fix your car, paying a contractor to put windows and siding on your house, or paying an electrician or a plumber. It's like, wow, you got to let things go because you don't have the money to pay all these guys because they're getting, over $100 an hour to come out work on your shit. So, I mean, Rowan at ET Transport, he broke down in, what was it? And I don't know if you're still in here, Tommy, but he broke down Kenworth, Freightliner, Peterbilt, Volvo shop rates between California, Texas, and I think there was one other, maybe up there in Toronto where he was at. But yeah, the shop rates for working on semi trucks were ranging anywhere from $150, $175 an hour to $230 an hour for shop rate. So, that's something to consider. Now, me with my detail, if I just wash, clean, and hand wax a car, I usually do that at $60 an hour. But if I pick up the rotary or the DA polisher, once I put an electric machine in my hand and start polishing on that car, it's $100 an hour minimum. And that's why, like, my ceramic coats will be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,200, depending on the level of ceramic coat and the level of paint correction I got to do. Do I have to do a cut? A cut like a 2-step or 3-step, depending on how bad the paint is, on getting the scratches out, getting the shine back into the paint finish before I put the ceramic coat on. So that prep work, it's a lot of work, and I don't skimp on that. I did that when I owned my sports rehab. It just seemed like people would come in and just Jew you down, barter to lower your rates. Well, I'm having a hard, I'm going through some hard times. This was back in 2012 when we're going through the GFC, the global financial crisis, 08 to 2012. But man, people come in and they're just like, can I pay you later? Can you lower the rates? I'm really broke this week. And it seemed like with the sports rehab, it was always these freaking athletes. Broke is a freaking joke. And my friend Joe worked at an insurance company. He still does, but back then he was working at Farm Bureau and in Michigan. And he said all these guys that do bodybuilding, that were buying their supplements and pills and all that, he goes, those fuckers, they would pay the first 1 to 3 months of insurance and let it lapse. The rest of the year, they wouldn't pay their insurance because they had put all their money in their supplements and other crap. And he goes, those guys are the worst for paying their damn bills. And I said, oh yeah, I know. And that's when I sold that business and got out of it. I said I would never work with athletes again because they're horrible. They're downright horrible to work with, and I won't do it. So it was a couple years. I want to say 2 years of that. Now it's just like, oh my gosh, never touch that again. I got into detailing, and I had to play around with my pricing, but I got it dialed in, and the wife will agree. Laura, thanks for coming in. Your phone call, she was on a conference call on her end, so she said she was going to be late getting in here. Hello, if anyone's joining us, let us know where you're at. Tommy checked in earlier, right when I got going. But, yeah, Laura and I would talk about pricing. I actually put it on a spreadsheet, and because the pricing for RVs and bigger equipment, RVs and boats, is on a different scale than, say, a pickup or a car. But you got to know how to price yourself, and you got to know your worth, and you got to stick to that. People may give you that look of like, oh my God, that's expensive. You know what? You want good work, you're going to get good work. And I told this last guy what the what was it? The guy with the Dodge Ram I just did during Labor Day week, and I upsold him some interior protection on top of its maintenance ceramic coating, and he was very pleased. And I said, when I do an interior, there's not a good, better, best, or bronze, silver, gold tiers. How do you look at a dirty interior of a car and say, well, I'm just going to do the the bare minimum, or the good cleaning. What's a good cleaning? Just a light vacuum and a wipe down. And they open the car and they're like, it still looks dirty. So what, I paid you this much and it still looks like crap. So then you move up to the next tier and it still looks like crap. So I just say, look, the only way I'm going to do this on anyone's interior, and I've had people walk away and say, no, that's too much. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do a half-ass job. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do a top tier clean, deep clean on your interior. We'll get it reset. And then what I do is I put them on a maintenance program and say, look, if we do this 1, 2, or every 3 months, up to 3 months. So what is it, 4, 8, or 12 weeks is the way I sell it. And once you get past the 12th week or 3rd month, and I said, pretty much the car just gets back to where it was. And I said, then we got to pay the full price and reset it. But then I give them a reduced price on the maintenance schedule. So there's a maintenance schedule. There's a first time price, on the interior. And then there's all the upsells of leather and fabric protection, carpet protection, there's window ceramic, there's paint ceramic, there's wax, there's paint sealant, and there's a difference between carnauba wax and a paint sealant synthetic wax. So it depends on the type of car and how you want it to look. Is it a daily? Is it just a weekend drive? So you got to know your customer. You got to know what they're bringing in, and I had them send me pictures and say, what am I looking at? If I can't see the car right away, they'll send me pictures of the interior and I'll make a judgment call. But I always leave them a window of, it could range anywhere from, just for example, 250 to 50. Let me see it firsthand when you bring it and get diving into it, and I'll call and let you know, so you know what to expect. That, hey, it's not bad, I'm going to keep it down at this price range. I've had to call customers twice this year and just say, this thing's worse than you said it was, because they dropped it off, and then I got to the shop, got into it, and I said, this is way worse than what you were explaining. So I've had to upcharge them, another nominal amount, but it worked out. But when they get it, they say, it hasn't looked that good since I bought it new. And that's the way you want them to feel and appreciate when they receive their car back. So it's all about just getting your mind in the business and starting businesses and getting involved with investing and trading equities. It's all about, pet hair. The biggest thing we have with automobiles in the interior, I got this little dog. You get in there and you think they were hauling the whole farm in there, just as dirty as it was. And the pet hair, just like, come on, guys. And Miss Laura has found the big thing is investing in the right tools. I can look at that one pickup truck I did, and they're just like, the wife said, I was thinking about cleaning my husband's work truck, and I took one look in there, and she goes, that's just gonna be too much work. But I plowed through it within about 2-3 hours, because he's a concrete contractor. So there was a lot of concrete, dirt, and dust, and just all that jazz in there. But so you got to have the tools to go in and attack the harshest elements to finessing the nicest cars that get weekend driven. So that's the key thing, and that's why with RK Auto Detailing channel, once we get over 50 subscribers, and I can go live with you guys over there, and I can pull out tools, and we can go over different products, different tools I use, and stuff like that over there. But I'm just kind of going over the business aspect of how I go forward pricing that. And it's similar to like when I was with my exercise physiology degree, and I was a licensed massage therapist because I was going to chiropractic school. So with all that, I had our sports rehab business. So I did functional movement tests through Dr. Gray or something like that, but FMC, I believe it was, a functional movement protocol to see if they were symmetrical or asymmetrical on their bodies, that one side was more stronger, dominant than the other, and then you would correct it with stretching and strength training and all that other jazz to balance the body out. So I've had to do all that, and I worked with a boatload of CrossFitters, over those years, on top of working with arena football and the Michigan flat track roller derby girls. And just a key note here, Miss Laura's in there. Where we're at is Grand Rapids, and the Grand Rapids Raggedies should be starting their season next month. I'd like to go. We used to have a blast. You want to see a bunch of girls having a good time during a roller derby event and after and partying? Man, those girls knew how to have a shit ton of fun. And it's just fun to watch roller derby. They were fun, and then of course wrestling. Those were my the two main components I liked in my business. The difficult athletes came from the former professional NFL players that were down in the Arena Football League trying to redo their tapes. Maybe they just didn't cut it. They got on the team, and they just, the problem is you're always vying for your position on that team all the time, unless you're a Tom Brady or something like that. You're a Pro Bowler every year, or a Ray Lewis. You're pretty much you're going to be in there till retirement. But a lot of guys, they can be in there for a year. The next thing they're traded or let go because someone else came in better, stronger, faster. So these guys come down to arena football, they strengthen up, they get faster, quicker, and they got to have tapes. So arena football is used mainly for promo tapes to get them scouted back into the NFL. So I worked with a lot of those guys. I worked with a lot of the amateur wrestlers that came down from WWE. I've worked with, I'm trying to think if Bob was in here. I still got a friend that he turned truck driver, and he was a pro wrestler. He went under Sebastian Rose, if you Googled him. And he was in the cable TV network down in Toledo. I've worked with the Bushwhackers, Rhino. Who was some other ones that came in? Some of the bigger events I worked at. But those guys loved having me back there as a medical professional back in the room and just stretching them out and all that, especially if they had to drive for hours. Like a lot of these to come to Michigan and be on the road for 4 hours and get out of the car and like, dude, I got to go in the rink. Can you stretch me out? So I had them on the treatment table, loosen them up, getting them worked over and just ready to go out there. And then, they go into character and all that. That's pretty cool to see. Had a blast with those guys. Triathletes and marathon runners. There's another breed in its own right. Any different than the football players. A lot of prima donnas. Who was the other ones? Oh, CrossFitters. I will say I worked with a ton of CrossFitters, but I will tell you what, you want to talk about some snobby, uppity athletes, is the offensive line in pro football and CrossFitters. I mean, damn. Oh, man. And like I said, I was glad to walk away from that. Being in the truck just kind of gave me a little sabbatical to basically clear my head and kind of figure out where I wanted to go in my later years. So I said, you know what? I want to work from home. I want to be able to step out in my kitchen from my, my office or my studio and just have lunch with my wife, go back, work a little bit, be home every night, watching sunsets with the wife and jazz like that. So, you got to get hungry and go after it. Discipline. The key thing is discipline. I haven't watched football. I sat down and watched the full season of football was when the Ravens won the 2012. I did get interviewed by Leanne, the head team doctor of the Ravens, only because my daughter knew her very well, and my daughter's former father-in-law was friends with Steve Bisciotti, so she got married. Her and her husband then got married at the Ravens Stadium. I'll probably post that pic. I got it in my thing. I'll post it in the comment or the community section of this. But yeah, she got married on the field there at the Ravens Stadium. She's gone up to the Under Armour Stadium when they're in training, hung out with Leanne and jazz like that. So Leanne gave us a tour of the whole Ravens Stadium. Was at the pre-rehearsal, Laura, when we got there. She took you and I and gave us a tour through the locker room. And it was funny, that was when Flacco was quarterback, Jacoby Jones, Ray Rice was the running back, Ray Lewis was there, Ed Reed was there, Torrey Smith. But it was funny, everyone had their own locker. And I'll put on there too, not only the picture of my daughter down on the field, but I'll put some on the community section. I'll put some pictures of the Ray in the locker room. But she said everyone got their own individual locker, and then over here, these two lockers were Ray Lewis's because, she said because he's Ray Lewis and he gets two lockers because he was the brand for the team when they moved to Baltimore. So they built that team around him in the early days. So, but yeah, and they're playing tonight. Yeah, my brother-in-law is like, you gonna watch Lions and Ravens? You're a Ravens guy. And my wife and I went down to the Ford Field and watched right after you got walking again, Laura, after you got out of the wheelchair and got your hips replaced. In a snowstorm, we walked. It was like towards the end of the season or something like that, in the snow down there in Detroit. We had to walk like 6 blocks over there at Ford Field. We're in a Ravens outfit and everyone's in Lions, and I was like, oh, this is going to be ugly. And yeah, let's just say there was a lot of fights. We were on the end zone, and a lot of fights during that game. Monday Night Football. It was a Monday Night Football game too, and that was a shit show, to say the least. I felt kind of uncomfortable because I had to keep my head on the swivel because I didn't know, get some liquor in some of these guys, and all of a sudden they just want to have a fight. So typical professional sports game. But yeah, anniversary present. So it was let's see, you had your hips done 2013, so it was December of 2013. And so if you guys went back in the football schedules, then December 2013 is when the Ravens and Lions played at Ford Field. We were at that game. And I graduated from Central Michigan University. We have a big canvas, which when I get studio built out in the future, I have this huge canvas that's like the size of, I want to say it's about a third smaller than the windshield on my Cascadia here, is a canvas picture of, and we can look in the stands on that picture, and we can just see ourselves up in there when Michigan State University came up to Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and played CMU there. I mean, we got our ass kicked, but that was probably one of the first times in many decades that they packed the stadium in there, and it was pretty cool. We were into sports. That was the whole thing, is I was going to be a chiropractor. I was going to do sports medicine. I was really hungry and vying to get on the Ravens team and just, be that first guy to get there and just, arrive at being successful. But one thing led to another. So, and I don't know, would I have been happy? It would have been a different angle of making money compared to where my mindset is today. And looking back, I don't know if I'd be all that happy, because at some point you peak and a new younger guy comes in, and he brings in, more modern medicine, more modern techniques. So it's one of those things. You just, especially with sports medicine, you got to stay on the latest, greatest stuff coming out to recover. Because the big thing with these athletes is they got to recover quick. Time is money. So if if they get hurt on Sunday, they want to be in practice by Tuesday, Wednesday, if they can, but not, because they lose money when they're sitting out. So, yeah. So anyhow, it's a little story with us, and just being in business and trucking. I did trucking. I went to when I come out of high school, I was going to get my certification in welding and fabricating after 4 years of school. Through high school, I did trade school through high school, and then I just had to spend a year to get certified, and then I got talked out of that, got my associate's degree in heavy truck diesel mechanics. It's going to be a diesel mechanic. Interviewed for a mechanic's job, and they said, well, I see you can drive trucks. So I took a set of old tired Mack cab over with a KTA Cummins, and drove it out of the yard with gravel trains. And they said, you're the first one to get it out of the yard, you want a job? And the pay was double of what a mechanic was getting paid. I jumped on that. that started my history in driving truck in a nutshell. And I did that till I burned out at the end of 2000. So sold everything, went off to school to be a chiropractor, and well, kind of told you all my sports medicine history there. But that's it. Is you've got to be able, to be a welder, fabricator, a diesel mechanic, a truck driver, and heavy equipment. I always grew up operating in, agricultural stuff, combines, tractors, to CAD equipment, and dozers, excavators, loaders, what have you. I grew up around that stuff. So that said, I said, hey, I'm going to go to school to be a doctor. I kind of got laughed at by family for quite a few years. But they realized that I stuck with it, and then we started our business later on. So I was into that realm for 14 years, and then laid off, sold the business, got laid off twice in the hospital. So, to hell with it. Bills were stacking up, and we were, basically my wife and I were standing there listening to the band as the Titanic was sinking. And I'm like, either we jump on the lifeboat or we go down with this ship and have to move in with the parents. So we fell back on my CDL, and I kept it all through those years. For those 14 years out of trucking, I kept my CDL active and did not let it lapse. And we fell back on it in 2014, and then here I am. So that's the story. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But yeah, that's everything in a nutshell. I've always found ways to make money and not just be one-dimensional and say, this is all I know how to do. That's your 1950s, 60s, 70s manufacturer workers. They only knew how to do one job, and if that job dried up, left town, they were unemployed, and those guys did not know how to do anything else. And they'd sit around and get drunk and beat their wives. I mean, hey, it's a movie played out. Everybody's made a movie of it when a company goes out of business and it decimates a town, and marriages get broke up, stuff like that. But I told my wife, I think every week she has heard me say, I am so damn blessed that I have I am blessed to have all the skill sets I have to be able to take care of us, but also provide monetary income to put food on the table, and also keep our house put together and built. So it's one thing that you want to know. You just want to be very diverse. Those are the people you want in your corner, because they're the ones that you can always rely on, that have the skill sets. It's the one that's always going to be taken from you and never giving. So anywho, I'm going to wrap it up here, folks. It's been over an hour. I appreciate y'all being here or listening to this afterwards. Right now, as far as the economic collapse, I would, my advice to you all is look at what you can cut for expenditures at home on stuff going out. We gave up TV. We went from like 2006 to almost, the late teens until we got internet. And then because she started doing more stuff, paying bills online and all that, especially when we got into COVID. But other than having internet at home, we hardly watch other than YouTube stuff. But cut what you can out. We haven't gone out to eat in over a year and a half. We don't go out to eat. We don't take vacations. It's just, that is a first world American problem that everyone's like, well, you work hard, you should go out and splurge on yourself. No, that is an excuse that is programmed into you by the TV and media, because they want you to be in their system of staying in debt all the time. Disciplined, wealthy people stay frugal, and they continue that even when they are billionaires. So some are, can't say like Jeff Bezos, that's married to the weather girl, and all these guys that get a girl half their age, that just, how many times my wife and I have seen it with athletes. They become empty nesters here, and we're going to wrap it up with this. We've seen empty nesters start picking up and taking up running, marathon running, triathletes and stuff, like marathon runners and triathletes. So you'll see them, they'll have a spouse. Spouse is like, all right, raise the kids. She's going to sit home and read a book. This one's going to go out and take up running, 25Ks or whatever, they're going to run these big marathons. Next thing you know, they get a running partner. Next thing you know, they're having an infidelity and then having an affair. And then next thing, they're getting divorced. And then that running partner and that person's getting married. And, they left their spouse. And you see all that going on because, midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it. That's why I'm not a key factor into supporting a lot of those folks, because their mindset gets all wonky. Oh shit. Not everybody wants to go and run marathons or do CrossFit opens. They want to just come home from work now that the kids are gone and read a book and chill and relax and have some solitude. But the other spouse is just like wound up. I gotta go, and just run and do this, do that. And then next thing, they're getting a divorce, and then the kids wonder, what happened there, well, they found out they weren't compatible once the kids were gone for each other. So anyhow, yeah, we've seen a lot of that, good, bad, and the ugly. So within working with athletes. But anyhow, folks, stay safe out there. Continue educating yourself. That way, the more knowledge you learn, because it's learned, not taught. And if you go out there and seek the knowledge and apply it and start moving yourself forward, you're going to find yourself very happy. Maybe one day you'll come back and thank me. But pick up something you don't know. Don't be afraid of it. Start learning it. It may take you quite a while, just like with investing in the stock market. You just you got to keep working at it. It's discipline. So anyhow, we'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.